CCS is a set of tools that supports the building industry through all the phases of the construction project, from the client brief phase to the building's operational use. In this video, we look closely at the principal fundamentals of CCS codes for classification and identification and show how users can get an overview of the codes, thus ensuring that the correct codes are used for each building component in the building modeling software. Rubo architects, through their START project, have worked to raise employee knowledge and upgrade projects in preparation for using CCS classification and identification codes. This is partly to create structure and consistency in their project material, and partly because they had customers who required the use of CCS. But how does one take the initial step, get a good start, and get a helpful overview of the possibilities and values of CCS, having never worked with CCS before? This was the challenge faced by Rubo architects. Let us examine the CCS code usage in regard to a wall construction. The CCS code consists of several elements, each with its own purpose. The first part is CCS classification. CCS classification clarifies which building part is in focus. For example, is it a wall assembly, a window, or roofing? A significant point, however, is that with CCS classification, it is possible to select codes as per the particular requirement, depending on what level you want to work to. This is valid for overall functional systems, as well as technical systems and the individual components. Thus, a wall can be encoded in different ways, depending on whether one construes the whole wall as one entity, or whether one wishes to subdivide the wall into components. Wall covering, windows and wall plate each have their own code. This creates flexibility in the CCS system. But how can a new user make sure that they have chosen correctly? This is where CCS example collection comes into use. The CCS example collection contains a series of illustrated examples and explanations for the codes in the three possible levels. By using the example collection, Rubo architects found that using the technical systems level with a few simple components additions fitted nicely into their process. To ensure that the project team agreed on the codes and that each project member did not need to know the CCS system in all its detail, the ICT manager created a list of the used building parts and related codes. The second part of the CCS code deals with identification, or to put it another way, we now know that the building part is a wall. But which particular wall are we talking about? CCS allows multiple types of identification. One is the identification of any building element by means of a product ID, where each building element is given a unique sequence serial number. Identification can also be distinguished by using the type level. This is when the same sequence type number identifies the same wall types. To distinguish between the different types of identification, a specific symbol in front of the CCS codes is used. In this case, the hashtag for product ID or the percentage sign for type ID. During the reviewing of the identification system, Rubo architects concluded that architects already think in a building element type level. Therefore, dividing the building elements by type was the logical choice and fitted nicely into the structure of their building modeling software. So now it was time to apply codes to objects. Whilst reviewing the model, and as new types were used, the list expanded and thereby became a classic building element journal that clarified the structure of the project, a structure which is not only used in the building model, but is common in all project documents, from building specification documents to tender documents. This has produced a coherency and consistency throughout the project material. Use a unique code, such as CCS codes. It creates structure and consistency throughout the project documents. Prepare a list of building components with corresponding codes for the entire project. It creates clarity for the entire project team, and not everyone needs to know the CCS thoroughly. Expand the list regularly as the project progresses. That way you get a building element journal ready-made. This ensures consistency. See more about CCS tools and experience with START projects in our other videos, which can be found on bips.dk.